Hey champions, welcome back to the Kmax. It's the Kman, and here I am in this beautiful place in south of New Zealand, the South Island of New Zealand, and I'm in this amazing gorge and a huge lake, and this just goes for miles and miles or kilometers depending on what country you're in, of lake and gorge, and it's just magnificent. And there's bike tracks around the side and all that, and down here, as you can see, you may even see in the distance, it's a dam. Yes, and this used to be a river or maybe a stream, and at some time someone said, okay, we got this supply of water and it's a river, how can we maximize the return on this river? And one of the best ways to maximize the return on the river to provide water for the community is, hey, let's put a dam in it, as the lesson that we learnt from the beavers. Put a dam and that will scoop up all the water, create a massive lake, and then gives us an endless supply of water for the community, because on the other side of the dam is a little town called Clyde and all the surrounding areas. And that's what we call leverage. Leverage is making the most of what you've got, getting yourself the biggest return on the resources that you have. And as an exercise professional, when you start out in this profession, your driving force, yes, is passion, and that has to be there, because passion will get you through the tough times but also help you maximize the good times. So you have to have passion, and when you come into this profession as a personal trainer or an exercise professional, you want to train individuals or groups of people, and to do that, obviously you have to get qualified and learn the skills and get the knowledge to do that. And then you get into the field and you've got the supply of passion like a river, and then over time, as your life grows, you want to look at ways to maximize the resources and maximize your profession to live the life that you want to live. And life is dynamic. When you first start, you want to be an exercise professional, train people, but as you venture through life, you may find that you may need to become more resourceful and be able to take advantage of leverage to maximize your training time. Because ultimately, as an exercise professional, when you start out as a sole trader, it means it's just you training individuals and they pay you money for your service. Then basically what you're selling or what you're offering is your time, because it takes time to deliver a personal training session, or it takes time to deliver a group exercise session. And in a week, you have 168 hours in that week. Now you have to say, okay, how can I maximize that where I can live my life not just in my profession but also in my personal life, my family time, my recreational time, my hobbies, my activities, my sport, my children, all the other things that make up a glorious life. And one part of that is your career, and you want to make sure that you maximize that so it doesn't take away from the other important areas in your life. So ultimately you have 168 hours, 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week to slice up to work out how can you get the best return to service all the important areas in your life, serving your values while living your purpose, by sharing your passion, by helping others. And the path to greatness is learn to serve the many, and how many you need to serve is depending on what type of life that you want to have. So for example, when this was a river, you had a set amount of water coming through, and that was the amount that you had to service the community. But as the community grew from one house to two houses to a village to a town, it grew, then that river didn't supply enough water to service all those houses and those families. So they had to become resourceful and use the intelligence of leverage to say, how can we leverage this river to give us a better return on the supply by damming it? And now we can actually increase the water supply to communities. And as your life grows, you may find that you may need to leverage your time to get a better return in your time, because you can't get more time. There's 168 hours and that's it. So if your life grows, time's not growing. You don't, so all of a sudden now I have 268 hours in the week and now I have a 38-hour day. No, that is steady, that is set. But your life is dynamic and it will grow, particularly as you, from a young person to, all you have to look after is yourself, and then you get girlfriend or a boyfriend or some other friend, and then you have to service that little relationship, and then you buy a house, then you have to service the house and the mortgage, and then you have a dog and you have to buy dog food. Then you have a child, then you have to service the child, and as your life grows you need a bigger house, and you need to educate your kids, and you have 2 kids, 3 kids, and before you know it you're sending them to school, and then there's university and all those things that make up life, a growing life. And your life is dynamic and growing, however your time is pretty much set. So you have to be clever enough and intelligent enough to be able to, because the time is set, is to get more value out of your time to service your life in all areas of your life, and naturally your health and your family and your recreation, your hobby and your sport and all those things. But I'm going to be talking about your career or your business today, because what used to service your life as an individual trainer may not be enough to service your life with a growing family. So we're going to look at avenues of how you can increase your leverage in your career or your business so that it can service those other important areas in your life. So yes, the driving factor is passion, and you need to turn your passion into a profession, but sometimes you have to leverage and grow and become resourceful in your profession so you can get a greater return in your profession to service the other areas of your life. Because ultimately all dreams have price tags. Whether you want a nicer car, you want to buy a boat to go, or a jet ski to go on the lake here, or you do overseas holidays where you send your kids to private school, or you want a bigger house, then all of those have dreams, growing dreams, have a price tag, and that price tag is paid by your passionate profession, which is your career or your business. So as you grow wiser with age, you have to be able to leverage your time and leverage your resources to give you a bigger bang for your buck. And so let's have a look at some ways that you can do that depending on where you are in your stage in your career. Now, when I first started, I was working as a gym instructor, because there weren't personal trainers 152 years ago when I started in this profession, when I used to lift rocks, not dumbbells, and play with the dinosaurs. No, just exaggerating, obviously, but I've been doing this for 40 years. So I was a personal trainer, and I was I started off as part-time. I was getting $10 an hour, which I thought was a lot back then. And it was actually, because I was a part-time, and then I got a full-time position, and in my first full-time position I was getting $18,000 a year, and that was enough to service my life at the time, because I only had myself to look after, and I didn't live an expensive life. It was a simple life, a passionate life, and that was plenty. But as my career grew, I found that that $18,000 wasn't enough to pay for my growing life and the growing interests that I had in life, particularly as I started to want a nicer car, want to do a bit of travel, obviously playing and partying with my friends and all that type of stuff, and eventually buying a unit and all sorts of stuff. So therefore I had to, okay, this $18,000 is not going to service my life, my growing life, so I need to become more resourceful. And ultimately at that time I decided that I needed to work for myself, so I had control over my own paycheck, because the harder I work in a job, I got a set amount of money. Now obviously if you're in a great company, they will give you options and career options and opportunities to climb the corporate ladder, so your wages or your income will grow as well. And there are many options in this profession with great companies that give you career paths to go up that ladder to gym instructor, to personal trainer supervisor, to regional supervisor, to gym manager, and all sorts of stuff. So there's those avenues to look at within an organisation, or you can decide to create your own organisation and your own business by being maybe a sole trader. A sole trader is a one-person business where you're in control of your own affairs, and you can market yourself, you can just charge how much you want to charge, you can train as many people as you want to train, you can train them when you want to train them. And that's one of the beautiful things of being an exercise professional sole trader, is you can train as many people as you want, you can train them when you want, and you can charge as much as you want. So some of the flexibility things that you have in that profession, you can say, I'm going to have Fridays off, and I'm going to have this day off, I'm not going to train on this morning, and you're going to block out the times in your week that you're not going to be training people and just train people when you want to train them. So when I was a trainer, for example, I always had the middle of the day off, which is great. That gave me the opportunity to have a bit of a workout, go down the beach, have a bit of swim in the surf, because I grew up on the Gold Coast, on the beaches and the golden beaches, and then I did the second half of the day where I trained people in the afternoon. So I trained people morning and afternoon, had that middle of the day off, and I really enjoyed that. And there's certain times I just blocked out certain half days or days where I didn't want to. So you have that flexibility. You can roster your own schedule, which is a fantastic thing to do. And you can charge as much as you want. But remember, you still are limited by the number of people that you can train, because you're limited by the amount of time that you have in a day and a week. So depending on how you want to live your life and how much you want to block off towards your career. Now, I was very ambitious, I was very driven, so I was to just train as many people as I possibly can and train as many sporting teams as I possibly can, because I had no other commitments and I was just passionate about training people. But everybody's different. Some people want to say, look, I just want to train 20 people a week, or 30 people a week, or 40 people a week, depending on how much you want to allocate, and depends how much other stuff you have going on in your life and where you want to allocate it. So if you have a limited time, then you say, okay, this is the amount of time that I can train. You might be able to say, I can fit in 30 clients, or I can fit in 40 clients or 20 clients, and that's it. And that's the time that you have. There's no more time, unless you want to steal time from another important aspect of your life, which may not be a good thing, because you might be taking away from family time, or your own health time, or your sporting time, or recreation time. So now, if you get to the stage where, hey, that's servicing my life, that's providing the paycheck to pay for the dreams that I want to live. But if you find that those dreams are getting bigger, as they do with life, because growth is one of the human needs. We like to grow, we like to get better, we like to improve, we like to experience better things, because the things that satisfy me now may not satisfy me in a year's time. If you go back, the things that satisfy you a year or two ago don't satisfy you now, because you've grown into it and now you're comfortable with it. Now you're ready for your next growth spurt. And that's a part of life. It's about, one of the 6 human needs is growth. How high does a tree grow? It grows as high as it possibly can with the resources that it has in the soil that it's provided. So that's up to you of how much you want to grow your life, and how much hassle, I guess, you want in your life, because sometimes growth can create an inconvenience where you need to learn more skills and learn more knowledge and do more things, and then you have to be smart about that, because then you, again, as I said, you have a limited time. But if you find you need to increase that return for those hours, then one way to do that, to leverage that, and when I'm talking about leverage, is the leverage of value. So, for example, if you're charging, say, I'll pick a nice round number, $50 a half hour for a personal training session, which is standard at the moment. Remembering when I first started as a personal trainer, well over 33 years ago, I started at $50 an hour back in those days, and that was plenty to service my life. I built it up to 40 sessions a week, which has given me $2,000 a week. This is back in the late 80s and early 90s, which has given me over $100,000 a year, and that was a good amount of money for me. And that's, these days that's a great amount of money as well. But I was very ambitious and very driven, and I have other people who were working for me over time where they didn't want to earn $100,000, $50,000 service their life. And you have to decide that for yourself, is how much money do I need to service my life, to have a happy, fulfilled life that I really enjoy, that still service all the human needs in my life. But that's where I was at that time. So just say you're at $50 a session now for a half-hour session, and you say, look, I'm doing, say, 30 people a week, so 15 by 30 is $1,500 a week. And I'm using that nice round number, and you say, okay, well, that's not enough to service the things I want to do, or the things I want to do in the future, my goal list, my dream list. I want to get a nicer car, and I want to go on a nicer overseas holiday, and now I want to start a family. I may need to increase that, but I can't increase the time, because then that's going to steal time from other important areas of my life. So maybe you say, well, how can I get more money for that half-hour session? So if, for example, I went from $50 a half hour to $60 a half hour, then that's an extra $10 a half hour over 30 sessions. There's an extra $300 a week. Okay, that may say, well, that extra $300 will service those extra things I want in my life. That gives me an extra $15,000 a year. So I've just given myself a $15,000 pay rise. So now if I'm going to increase my price or my the cost of my services, then I have to increase the value so I can justify that. So I'm not going to increase the time, I'm going to put more value into that training session. So you may put more customer service things into it. And one of the things I did in the early years when I built up my personal training business, and I got to the stage where I was doing $50 a session, I said, well, what do I have to do to be able to charge $65 a session? So increase my prices from $50 a session to $65 a session. Now, if you look at the 40 sessions at $15, that's an extra $600 a week, which is across a year an extra $30,000 a year. So by just increasing by $15, then I increase my annual income by $30,000 a year, which is a nice increase, right? But I can't just keep delivering the same service for $50 and charge $65. I have to increase the service, the value in that. So it's putting more value into the time. And remember, people aren't paying for time, they're paying for value. They're paying for results and how you make them feel. So I put a lot of soft skills into my personal training sessions, such as hands-on stretching and a massage at the end, and more bit spot on, more hands-on spotting, a bit more customer service, a bit of a how you going course after the training session, giving their favorite music on while they're training. So all of a sudden it created a wow experience, because as Roy beautifully puts it in a simplistic way but a brilliant way in how to grow a business, is find a problem, offer the solution, and then create a wow experience. And the bigger wow experience they get, the more they'll be more happy to pay more investment or money into training with you, because you're going to give them things, those what we call those soft skills of business, that no one else actually offers. Means it's that really care factor, all those things you don't have to do that you do, because a lot of people will do as minimal as they can to offer a service, where you actually go beyond that, where if you can give people more than what they expect, then make them say wow, then they'll be happy to pay for it. Now, maybe not everybody, so some people want to take the cheap path, but you're looking for people who are quite happy to pay for the value path, the experience, not just the training sessions, because the training is great, but if you add all the wow factor around it, then it's more than a training session. It becomes a wow experience. It becomes, oh my gosh, I don't believe what I got for my money. So one way to leverage your time, or the value in that time, is put more customer service into you. So if you increase your, if you're doing 40 sessions a week and you increase by $5, then that's $200 a week extra, or $10, 40 sessions is an extra $400 a week. So you can actually build it up to become the most expensive exercise professional in your area. And I've come across graduates. One of our graduates, Abe, and he was charging some years ago, he has his own gym now because he's leveraged himself into his own gym, which we'll talk about. He was charging $95 a half-hour session. And he was doing around about 40 sessions a week. And that fitted into his life because he had a wife and kids, and he fitted that in. So he increased his value as much as he can. And if you look at that, that's just around about close to $4,000 a week or $200,000 a year as a sole trader, because he puts so much value. And people travel all over to train with him because A, he's a nice guy, he's a great trainer, but he also created that bit more of a wow experience that you wouldn't get in any other trainer. So one way to leverage is what can you do in that training session to make people go wow, that no one else is doing, that gives a great customer service experience that people will be happy to pay for, and they'll talk about and refer people to you. So one way to leverage is putting more into the time that you have, because it takes the same amount of time. When I actually put hands-on stretching and massage, it didn't take more time. It was more effort in the session and more value in the session. Instead of having a rest in between sets, I do a hands-on stretch and a massage. Rather than me chatting and just chatting with no human connection, understanding one of the other human needs is personal, is loving connection. So that hands-on stretching and massage also service the human need of personal love and connection with people, because people love that connection as long as it's based on the foundation of trust and integrity, obviously. So that's one way to leverage. Another way to leverage your time that some of our exercise professionals do is that rather than training one person one-to-one in that half-hour, 1 hour session where you may charge, say, $50, $60, $70 for that session, they choose to train 2 people, like mini group training, where it'll be 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. So if you have 2 people using that same time and at a lower price at $50 each, then the customer's great because they get it at a cheaper rate. Plus you increase your return, you leverage your return from say $60 or $70 for that session, for that unit of time, to $100 for that session of unit of time. So essentially you've increased your return from anywhere to 30, even up to 50% increase in return by doing small group training. So one of our graduates, Greg, who owns Olympia Body Transformation Sanctuary, he's doing that brilliantly, where they're doing small groups of 4 people with 1 trainer. So each of those people pay $50, for example, and they get the little motivation of a group session where they all empower each other, and it's a teamwork makes the dream work, and you get the trainer, and it's highly motivational. Now at $50 each for that hour or 45 minutes or half hour, depending on how you want to structure it, you're now getting $200 return on that unit of time, where if it was just one-on-one, you might be able to get say $70 return or $80 return. So you're getting more than 100% increase in return from a unit of time by offering maybe small group personal training. Now obviously that takes a bit more organization to get 4 ducks in a row so they can all commit to the same time frame, but many times people like to train with their friends or their family, therefore that creates that little tribe, community, teamwork makes the dream work type atmosphere that you can get a greater return. Plus it opens up the market a bit more to people who may not be able to afford $80 a session, but maybe they can squeeze in $50 a session. So therefore it's a greater market. It's just generally the lower the price, the greater the market. The higher the price, the smaller the market. But that depends on how many units of time you want to fill up and how much you want to get a return in that time. And you can even go down the path as some people want to go and specialize more in group training, where you may have group classes or fitness classes, whether it be fitness or functional training or outdoor boot camps, whatever it might be. You may have up to 10, even 20 people. So if you have say 20 people and now you're only charging $20 a session for that same amount of time, which you're getting $50, $60, $70 a session as a exercise professional personal trainer, now you're getting 20 times 20, which is $400 return on that time. Now you may not be able to fill up as many time frames depending on how busy it is and the time frames you're going to put into, but you're getting a greater return on your time. You're getting bigger bang for your buck. So you may want to say, hey, I want to specialize in doing say 10 group exercise sessions a week, and they may have 10 to 20 people, say an average of 15 people at $20 a session. Each session is giving you $300 times 10. Now you're getting a return of $3,000 for 10 hours. Then you have to add a half hour before and after the setup and clean up. So you're getting $3,000 for anywhere between 10 to 20 hours of time offering your service by leveraging numbers in that time, by doing small personal training sessions or group personal training sessions in maybe 2 to 4 or couples, or you want to go to the extreme where you actually have group classes of 10 to 20. Now you can have a mixture. You may say, look, I'm going to allocate 20 sessions a week or 10 sessions a week to one-on-one training. For example, one of our graduates, Abby, she allocates around about 10 sessions because she has 2 beautiful daughters and a family and other things she wants to do. So she does just over 10 one-on-one sessions, and she has a number of group sessions. And from the beginning of this year, in a period of 3 months, she went from virtually all her spaces were empty. Now she has a waiting list. All her 10 sessions of one-on-one training is full, and now she only has 4 spaces left in her group exercise classes or group classes. She specializes in training women and in particular mums. So you may want to put a mixture of, hey, I'm going to do some one-on-one training because I love that personal stuff, and I'm going to add some extra group training sessions. And if you're going to do that, you may make it a membership. So if you're going to have a business on group training, my suggestion is make it a membership. So you may put on 10 to 15 classes a week, and you join up and you pay a set amount per week, so it's consistent whether you come or not, and you get access to maybe 2 or 3 classes a week. And if you build that up to maybe, just say you build it up to 100 sessions, and you're charging say $30 a week, which is at the lower end of the scale, then 100 sessions by 30 is $3,000 a week, and that's consistent because there's an automatic debit where they pay it every week, and they can come to 3 sessions, 2 sessions, 1 session. If they don't come, they still have to pay, but they can make up for it in the following weeks. And you can build that up. One of our graduates, Jamie, who built a business called MadFit, she has well over 100 members paying her $50 a week for access to all of her group exercise sessions, which she runs in a park, and on a rainy day she has a little hall, community hall, that she takes all her women in, and men as well, but mostly women as the target market. And so she's earning $5,000 a week from just doing all these group classes in mornings and afternoons, and collectively using leverage of numbers in that session and putting a motivational training session, and people with common mind and common thoughts and common goals and like-minded people all motivating each other. So as a trainer, you don't necessarily have to motivate the individual in those group sessions. Your role is to create an environment that is motivational, and people connect and they all motivate each other and keep everyone connected, and then you're basically the conductor of creating these great training sessions. So that's a way where you can either do small personal training group sessions to add to your one-on-one sessions, or group classes or group exercise fitness sessions to add to your one-on-one, or you might want to turn that into a whole business in itself where you only specialize in group exercise. One of our graduates, Steve, who owns Barefit Fitness, he basically, that's all he does. He specializes in group exercise classes. He earns over 6-figure numbers in his business because that's what he loves. So whatever you choose to do, you have to do it for the right reasons. Me personally, I like more the one-on-one. Some people like group communities and the tribal type feeling. But you have to do it because you love it. Because if you do it just purely for the money, then it's going to show that you don't really love it, and then people are not going to see the value because they're going to sense the ethos is not there, which is the passion is not there in your face when you're doing it. So you have to do all these for the right reasons, and then use the leverage and the tools and the resources to maximize your return to service your business that services your life and all the important things in your life. Now, let's have a look at other ways to leverage. When I was a trainer, I was booked out at 40 sessions a week, and I was also looking after 2 international sporting teams, an Olympic sporting team and an international national team. And I didn't have more time, but I had lots and lots of clients and a waiting list of people who wanted to train with me. So what I decided to do is I started to subcontract trainers to work for me. So that was another way to leverage, where I now go down the path of getting people to work for me. And over time, I built that up into 6 trainers, and I moved into a small personal training studio. So it's a small studio, 6 trainers working for me, and I built that up to around 200 sessions a week. Now, when you're a sole trader, an exercise professional, you have to have great skills in self-management, time management, because you have to manage yourself. You have to manage your own discipline, you have to manage your own service, you have to put systems in there to hold yourself accountable so you don't get complacent, because the complacency leads to casualness, and casualness will lead to casualties, and you will be the casualty. So you really have to, as easy person to fool as yourself, so you have to make sure that you hold yourself with good habits, good disciplines, to make sure you hold yourself accountable, delivering that magnificent service that you're giving to your customers. But when you're starting getting people, whether it be subcontracting or employing them full-time or casual, now you have to be not just great at self-management, you have to be great at people management. So now you need to develop your skills and your knowledge and your ability to be able to motivate, inspire, and be able to discipline sometimes, and to structure and to guide and to coach and to mentor other trainers to deliver the same service that you're delivering. You have to replicate your service through another person. Now, sometimes, trying to control people is like herding cats. I understand that. So if it's not going well, don't blame them, just train them, because it's all about, number one, finding the right people with the right attitude, which I found is the most important, that believe in your cause, or believe in your purpose, or believe in your mission and your vision, and they believe in that and want to be a part of that, and they believe in that culture. Then you have to make sure you have systems in place to train them so they can replicate and deliver the service that you're delivering without you being there through them. And that requires checklists, and you have to inspect what you expect and all of those extra things. So it's a greater hassle, but it's greater leverage, because now I could only train 40 people a week, but with 6 trainers, I build it up. Now my business can train 200 people a week, and I can't do that myself, so I leverage using human resources to leverage my business into earning greater income for the business, but also actually me being the owner of the business. So if I'm charging, at that time when I grew it to $50, $50 a session at that, with 200 sessions a week, then that's looking at 200 by 50 is $10,000 a week income over a year. Now I've got a $500,000 business in a small little facility studio, which is only, I was only paying $10,000 a year rent. So it was a great return, but I had also a greater inconvenience, and I needed to do more staff training and team meetings and structure the systems and all the protocols and all the checklists for them to follow while I'm not there, which is more hassle. But when you build those systems in place, that's called leverage. And once those systems are built and that training process are developed, then you can bring new people on, and that reduces the hassle. But if you're just based on management by mind reading, it's not going to go so well. It means, oh, I told you should do that. Well, I don't remember you telling that. But if it's on a document or some form of structure or checklist, then you don't have to reprimand them. You can basically use the system to reprimand them if you have to, or praise them if they're doing a fantastic job at that. So that's another form of leverage of using human resources. Now, not everyone's into that. Some people like to just deliver their service, keep everything under their wings, everything under their control, and that's fine. And however, if you want to grow into a business where you have people working with you, then that's a whole different mental shift, mind shift, as well as a new skill to develop. And that's going into a whole new area of training for yourself, as I learnt the hard way. We all thought everyone was just going to do it my way, but then they started doing it their way. And I said, what are you doing? Why are you doing it my way? I said, well, I thought this was a better way. I said, wait a minute, this is not your business, this is my business. So then you have to be able to coach your people into your team, sometimes coach them out of the team, but also coach them to become a great trainer. So that's using human resources, using other people, where you can increase your leverage. And when I was at that stage where I was doing 200 sessions a week at $50 a session, that's when I raised my personal training from $50 to $65. So if you did the numbers on $15 extra per session across 200 sessions, that actually gives me an extra $3,000 extra in the business each week from all my trainers, and that's an extra $3,000, extra $150,000 a year for the business, which I just basically increased the profitability by $150,000 a year because we were delivering a fantastic service. We added some extra bells and whistles and a bit of more Christmas decorations and all that, meaning more customer service to justify that increase in priority. And sometimes you may lose people in that process. However, you may find that losing those people, but they, I guess, soon replaced by other people who actually see the value in it. So don't always base your decisions on the lowest common denominator. You want to make your decisions on the future clients that you want, not necessarily always the clients that you have. Most clients will stay with you because they love you. Some will pop off because they say, oh, you're taking advantage, I don't want to pay that extra money. But that's okay. Other people will, and they'll soon be replaced with people who'll be quite happy to pay that amount of money for your service if you're delivering a great service with integrity. So then that's going into a studio. You may say, look, I want to increase my leverage again. What's another way to increase the leverage? You may have a little studio, and you say, well, there's lots of times that my members who they train with me once a week or twice a week, but they want to be able to train on other days, not with me, but just train. So how about I give them access to my studio? I give them a key or a card or a flicker switch or whatever it might be, and I would charge them an extra weekly amount, like a membership on top of the personal training. Just say it's $15. Just say it's $15. So it's $15 extra, and you can come into the studio and use it when you're not training with a trainer. So you have your clients that you train with them one-on-one, but they can come in and use it out of their normal training hours, and they have access at 24/7. So just say, for example, it's an extra $15 a session, and just say only 100 people take it up. 100 people out of your 200. That's 100 by $15, that's $1,500 a week you earning. Now this is passive because it doesn't require you to be there. No one has to be there. It's what we call passive income. Income that comes in without taking up any of your time whatsoever. And that's an extra $75,000 a year that your clients will get a special key to go into your studio to use in off-hour time or the times when they're not training with you. So now that's leveraging using a membership base to access your studio. It increases your earning capacity by $75,000 a year. So when you do this, it's important that when you make these decisions, you base them on your values and your passion and the right reasons, not because you're just chasing money, but because you want to grow things to add more value to your clients and make them more raving fans and evangelists for what you do, and you're giving them the greatest opportunities to achieve their goals. And the byproduct of that, if you do things for the right reasons, you will get a return financially. Because there's a great saying by Zig Ziglar: if you help enough other people achieve what they achieve, if you help enough other people achieve what they want to achieve, then life will help you achieve what you want to achieve. So the path to greatness is learn to serve the many. So the more value you give, the greater you can get back to you, and then you can use that money, whether you invest it back into the business or invest it into your trainers or your team, and obviously some of that will come back to you in profits to be able to service your growing life as well, as I mentioned earlier on. So now you're using the leverage of maybe your membership, and gyms use this, where people join the gym and they pay $20 a week, $1,000 a year, and they build up a gym where it might be 500, say it's a small boutique gym of 500 members. Now they've got a business that is basically gym members using the services. Is passive because you don't have to train them, that's just for the services, and that builds a nice little gym, boutique gym, with an earning capacity of $500,000 a year. And then on top of that, you may have trainers in there that generates more active income because it requires time and effort. But obviously you have to pay for the resources and the equipment and the cleaning and the electricity and the lease and the rent and all that bit, but that's all embedded in that $500,000 a year. So 500 members at $20 a week, that's probably at the lower scale. If you want to have a more boutique gym with bit of extra service and some more bells and whistles and a bit more exclusive, then you may charge $30 a week at say 500 members. Now you're earning $15,000 a week, which is $750,000 revenue for your business. So now you're leveraging by membership, and then what you charge for that membership has to be justifiable by the value or the perception of the value that the customers are getting. So you have to, if they're paying more, they're going to be expecting more. If you pay cheap, they're not to expect a lot. But if they're paying more, the equipment has to be great, it has to be clean, it has to be well serviced, it has to be looked after, and the customers have to look after. On top of that, you can add the personal training in there. Excuse me, or you can go to a greater capacity where you have a big gym, maybe 1,000 members or 2,000 members at say $20 a session. Say $20 a week membership at 1,000 members, that's $20,000 a week, which is now looking at $1 million business. And you can do it a combination. One of our graduates, Greg and Cleo Evangelou, who run a beautiful gym called the Olympia Body Transformation Centre or Transformation Sanctuary in Brisbane. They have a 3-story gym, but it started off as a little 70 square metre personal training facility, which was just personal training, and then they leveraged from that because they were charging, from my memory, $70 a session, which is at the top end. They were in the city, a bit more corporate. Then they moved into 300 square metre boutique gym where they were charging, they got up to $50 a week membership, but that included body scanning and great customer service and a gym program and an app and all that bit. And then they built it up to say around about 500 members around about, and those out of that 80% were also doing personal training. So they was earning a good high value return on their personal training plus a high value return on their membership. And they grew that into a 700 square 2-story gym, and now they've just added another floor. They've added value by putting a floor on Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing type facility. So they've leveraged themselves by adding more services to grow the business and grow that return per member in what they invest into their weekly membership, Plus, on top of that, 80% of their customers or their clients or their members are also paying for personal training. So they've always looked at ways to leverage by increasing value to be able to build the business so they can service and provide career opportunities for their exercise professionals and their trainers, because they want to look after them and their members and obviously themselves. So it's a win-win-win it has to be a win-win-win for everyone. It has to add, first, great value to your clients, has to add great value to your team, and then if you do that, then it's going to add great value to you if you do it correctly. So a great way to leverage is using a membership, if that's what you choose to do. But obviously having a big gym with 10, 20, 30 staff, then that's going to be more hassle. With leverage comes a bit more hassle. It depends on how you want to live your life. You may not want all that responsibility of looking after other people's livelihoods. You just want to look after your own. So you may say, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage my services as a sole trader, and I'm going to give my clients access to online training, which might be through an app, and they're all pre-recorded workouts with nutritional plans, and then there's a added amount that your clients pay, not just for your one-on-one services, but they may pay $10 a week and they can access the app. And if you have 40, say 50 clients, and that's $10 a week, then that's extra $50 a week, $500 a week by just passive income by doing the app. Now you have to put all the legwork in at the start by building the app, filming all the training sessions, filming all the nutritional sections, the cooking lessons, depending on what you want to put on there. And you may have to invest in it initially, but that investment will give you a return forever, because once it's built, it will keep servicing you forever. Once the dam is built, they paid a lot of money for the dam, but it's a one-off cost. But once the dam's built, you now have an endless supply of water forever, because you invested a lot at the start, but now you're going to get your return in the long term. So sometimes you need to invest in the start to leverage yourself into a better position, whether pay extra money for the app and the time cost of doing all the videoing and the cooking and the recipes and all that stuff you want to put on there, or the mental mind shift, or the life coaching, or the wellness coaching, or the health coaching, depending on what your market is, or the rehabilitation, or training elite athletes, depending on what your target market is. Then they go onto the app and they pay, and I'm just picking a nice, easy, simple number to pick from. You may want to charge more, maybe less. Obviously, the more clients you have, the less you can charge. So if you have a market there, you can build this up to, say, 1,000 people using the app, and you only charge $5 a week, then all of a sudden you're earning $5,000 a week passively, and all you have to do is keep on top of the app by doing new sessions and updating it and refreshing it and putting new content on there, and using technology to be able to communicate with your clients, to let them know so they're always engaged. And you now got $5,000 a week, $250,000 a year, but you may have spent maybe $10,000, $20,000 at the start, depending on how much it costs to set it all up at the start. So would you spend $20,000, $10,000 to set up a business that can earn you $250,000 a year passively without you even being there? All you do is occasionally do a little motivational session, maybe on a lake like I am, and you put that up in the app to service those clients. So using technology is a great way to leverage yourself by developing apps and websites where it's a membership base, and that could add to your face-to-face services. Or you may want to just go purely online, where you don't want to do face-to-face. You might be in a remote area, or you like to travel a fair bit, therefore you do stuff online. A couple of our graduates, Maddie and Sheraton, they started off as trainers in gyms, and then they moved out of the gym and they opened up their small little studio, and then they built that into a bigger gym called Fit Body, Fit Minds, and they have over 200 members, and it's a high service, a high value type boutique gym, and they got trainers working for them, and Maddie was doing 70 sessions a week, and Sheraton was doing the group exercise classes, and it's a pumping little studio. And basically, they wanted to expand that, and due to the scenario at the moment with the COVID lockdowns, that pushed them into the opportunity to open up an online business. And now they have the face-to-face gym, and they have an online business. And so much so they created leverage where they gave their team incentives to run the business when them not being there. So their business is in Victoria, and they live in Queensland. So the business runs itself now with their team leaders who have vested interest in the business, where they get a profit share and all sorts of stuff. So they're highly motivated. And now they live in Queenstown because they want to live on the beach and have the lifestyle of Queensland rather than Melbourne. But they now do, because they built the online platform, they run online group classes and online personal training. So they have the leverage of technology living anywhere in the world, and they can service their online members who pay them to personally train them online, but also they all connect in with group exercise classes where they have group classes. So not even, they'll have a group class from people from all different suburbs and different cities and different countries all come in. So now your business isn't just limited to local, now it's global. So that's another way to leverage, to use technology to leverage yourself, where leverage it into the lifestyle you want. You want to move around the world or move into another state, leverage by giving your team profit share or some form of vested interest in the business. They can run it without you. You can leverage it by opening up multiple gyms and then putting managers in. So if you have a studio, you might open up 2 studios or 3 studios or 1 gym or 2 gym. Now what you have to do now is actually leverage it by getting managers to manage the gym where you're not there. So you have to manage the managers who manage the supervisors who manage the trainers and the team. So now there's multiple levels where you have to put systems in place to go all the way down. So rather than you spending time on the gym floor, you're spending more time with your managers, giving them tools and skills and resources to be able to become better managers to manage multiple gyms, because you can't be everywhere. I know one of a colleague of mine, Patch, here at that time when I was chatting to him, he had over 200 gyms through Canada called Lifestyle. And he says, I have gyms I've never even been to, because what he's done is set up a corporate structure where he has people who set up gyms for him to put in managers, to regional managers, for the managers to manage the supervisors, and it goes down that way with multiple levels. Now, you may not have any desire to do that, because that's going to be a whole different skill set, a whole different level of hassle that you may not choose to have, and that's perfectly fine. You may want to just become a sole trader, have an online platform, keep everything under your wings where you're complete control of everything, or you like to maybe want to go the other path where you delegate to others and train others to deliver your service to the world and your value to the world. That's completely up to you. One of our other graduates, who's a good friend of mine who I've been mentoring for well over 20 years, and Andrew Simmons, he started off as a sole trader, and then he was a very successful trainer in a gym, and then because he was so successful, he started to subcontract and employ other people to work for him under his business in someone else's business, and he called that Vision Personal Training. And then he decided to move out of that gym, and he opened up his own first personal training studio in New South Wales, and he built that up to 900 sessions a week, and he had, I'm not sure, about 20 trainers working for him, and he grew this business, and then he decided to franchise. So then he franchised it where people would he used other people's minds and other people's money. Other people's minds means that other people's time. So people would buy the franchise, they'd buy the systems, they'd buy the formula and the ingredients to how to set it up, because a lot of people don't know how to set up a gym or a studio to make it profitable, where Andrew had already gone through the hard yards to do that. So he's basically selling the formula. So people would buy a franchise, and they'd invest a large amount of money for the franchise, and they become the franchisee. Andrew is the franchisor, and then that person had a vested interest in building that business or that studio or that gym, and then they would pay a royalty, a franchise fee back to Andrew. It's a smaller amount, but a small amount over a small percent of a huge amount is still a large amount, and he's built that up to over 60 personal training studios through Australia and New Zealand. And that's using what we call the franchising model, where you're leveraging of a franchise system, that you're selling systems that other people put their money in it, their time, to buy your formula of success. And I won't go too much into that. So the franchise is an option. Licensing, you may license your intellectual property or your systems out. That's another option which I won't get into. Another great living example of using leverage to grow your business, to service your growing life, is one of our graduates, Renee, who did the program when she was only 17 years of age, and at that time she wanted to be a trainer, and she became a trainer in a big commercial gym. But over time, her life grew and she became a mum. So therefore, life is very different. So she needed to develop a career that fitted into her family time and within her young child, her daughter. So she decided to leverage herself out of the gyms, because obviously there's you got to travel there and travel back, and that takes time. So she wanted to use her time more effectively, so she built a home studio, a home personal training studio called PowerFit. And there, so now mums, she specialised in training mums and corporate women who'd come to her studio in her home, and she scheduled them around her family time, her time with her child. And she built that up to 40 sessions a week from her home studio. And she also added on there group exercise classes, which is using the leverage of using numbers in the same amount of time to get a greater return. But plus she loved doing group exercise classes, particularly bar classes. So she was doing 40 one-on-one personal training sessions a week, plus a number of group classes for her mums, and that fitted beautifully into her lifestyle. Then she actually decided that she needed to service her clients while they weren't at her home studio, so she built a online service, personal training service, to service her clients, and then that grew to service people who just needed personal training or needed advice or needed guidance or needed coaching, online coaching. So she developed her online presence. So she had a home studio, one-on-ones, she did group, and she did online. And then she soon grew out of that, and it grew to the stage where she wanted to take the next step and leverage herself out of the home environment. And so she moved from the home studio to a commercial studio. And then she built a commercial studio, so it was in the local township. And her other passion, and this is a classic example for doing it for the right reason, her other passion was smoothies. She loves smoothies. So she decided to combine two of those passions into the one business, and now she has a PowerFit personal training studio where she does group exercise classes, she does one-on-one, she has trainers who are subcontracting with her, so she's leveraging using other people to deliver the service, to use her facilities. Plus she has an online business, plus she has now a smoothie bar, a juice and smoothie bar at her studio. So now she's combining it all. So this is a classic example of, as her life grew, she grew her business to meet the needs of her life, to service her life by servicing her customers, her clients, or her evangelists, her raving fans that serviced her business, that serviced her life. So there's a classic example of a win-win-win for everyone. A win for her clients, because now they get this beautiful studio and they get the access to group classes, motivating classes, exercising people with like minds. They get access to the beautiful yummy smoothies. They also get access to the online platform where she can get service while they're at home and get exercise sessions at home. And that services the clients, it services her trainers who are working for her, and it services her life as well, where it's a win-win-win for everyone. So as you leverage yourself throughout your business and your career, it has to be modeled and matched and mirrored with servicing your life and the values of your life and the things that are important to you as well. So that's a classic example of someone who's used leverage, and now her goal is she wants to have multiple studios. So obviously she's an ambitious young woman, but she now has 2 children and a great family, and she's worked how to balance it all up where each are in alignment and they feed and energize each other rather than compromise each other, because their business values and their personal values and their family values are all in alignment. That way it's a win-win-win for everybody, and there's no compromise while living a great life. So what I'm saying, there's many ways to leverage your career, your business. But remember, every time you make a decision, it has to be made for the right reasons. It has to be made not because you're chasing the dollar or chasing money or chasing power or chasing control. It's because you want to add value to the world the way you want to add value, and then making sure that adding value in that way doesn't take value from your world. So yes, you want to add value to the world without losing value in your world. And that sometimes can come from, you lose value in your world because you're so consumed with your business that you start to lose value in your relationship, in your friendships, in your health, in your lifestyle, in your recreation, in your hobbies. So it is a balancing act, because life is like juggling balls. You have to make sure you're juggling the right balls and not put too many in there where you start dropping balls. and making sure that the boards that you're growing, that you're not growing one while diminishing another. Make sure that you're not achieving something while compromising something else, which is important. So that's another mixture of life coaching yourself, be able to enjoy your life, enjoy your career, enjoy your business, enjoy your family, enjoy your travels, enjoy your things in your life, enjoy all those things that make up life, that makes it so great, and then be smart enough to continue to educate yourself and upskill yourself so you have those opportunities to leverage yourself and your career into a better position to serve the life the way that you want to live it. Because ultimately, if you want to earn more, you have to learn more. But if you want to grow more, you have to know more. So life is all about continual and never-ending improvement, but in all aspects of your life that make life so great in all areas. So hopefully that's been very beneficial for you to leverage yourself into the position that you want to be, living the life you want to live by adding value to the world, how you want to add value, while that actually adds value into all the components that make up your world and your life. See you in the next Kmax.